What's up, everybody? Joe Carroll here with another Deck Tech. Today we're going to be looking at Green Altar. Basically, from what I've seen from watching the coverage, and I got to play some games with what's left of my local scene, it seems like you play this like black shell, and it's going to revolve around Altar and Layla. No surprise there. Everyone saw that and knew it was broken from the moment it was spoiled. So I feel like the format's going to be basically who can pilot this shell the best and who has the splash color that works, best in the mirror match, and who can use the sideboard most effectively as well. So basically my thoughts are, if you can get your stuff going and get it online, and you can stop them from doing theirs, or at least make it so they're not doing it as effectively as you are, you should be able to win the game. So we're going to play Hanzo, and the reason we're going to do that is, well, for one, I want to be playing green, but let's start off by talking about the Rune Deck. We're going to have Ceiling Scroll. Now, the list that I tested against the most yesterday, and I actually did play it quite a few times myself, is the Brunhild list. And them being able to Odin's Judgment is pretty huge, along with the search your deck out for any black card you need, and Power of Immortality. So Ceiling Scroll, actually, sometimes it'll be right to do each of those, depending on the situation. But having access to this and then being able to flip your ruler and then having access to it again will be good. But for the nitty-gritty games, I think you're going to want to be using Forest Meditation, because if they're going to be making you sack stones here and there, you can get your stones back. Also, being able to get back your bombs is huge, and not to mention Lorite, which is one of the key cards in the matchup. We are playing an Unsealing of the God. It's not as good as Dispel in the white version, but it does get the job done for this, sacrificial altar format that we're currently in. Power of Immortality for obvious reasons, and Freed from the Altar. The obvious, two runes that are going to be in every single deck. So, Freed from the Altar, you go get your black resonator that you need. It's not always right to go get your Aaliyah or Alseed, but a lot of times it will be if you're just trying to ramp up as fast as you can. So let's look at the list here. Sacrificial Altar, 4, Look of Corruption, 4, Layla, and Mana Transmuter. I feel like right there, that's like your starting base. And then from there, you can start to kind of tweak things a little. And then beyond that, you add your second color or don't. So from there, I think 1 or 2 Alseed is good. I'm only playing 1 because it's not going to be as important. This deck is going to play a little more reactively than proactively, and we'll get into that in a minute. But that's the reason that I'm not going so heavy on her. And we do have a lot of ways to bring her back if we need her. For Astema, this card is the reason you can play reactively, and it's card draw engine. It's excellent. 3 Athenia for obvious reasons. The big Aborizuki Kill J rulers. It's a good 4-drop to go get if your altar's only at 4, and most of the time you're swinging for 20, so you can get around the CL deck that plays their guy for cheaper if they're under $2,000. Stuff like that. But it's a huge monster. It's a good card. So 1 Belial if you need to blow the board up. Here's another good thing about playing green. We get another great 4-drop. If you're playing, against a deck that has a lot of targeted removal, like the Brunhild deck, it plays Spear the Valkyrie, it plays Blade of Faith, it plays Severing Blade, all of which target. So this is a great card to finish the game off with. We're going to play Severing Blade ourselves, and then here's where we get into the green. 4 Lorite, 4 Viola, 3 Fair Spell, and 2 Rune Story. Now, Rune Story, it's going to be interesting. I feel like this card is going to be more of getting things back from your graveyard at instant speed. For instance, if they play like a Mistletoe and they go to get back their All Seed to get back their 1-drop, you could you could Rune Story and get Viola back from your grave, and then play Viola, sack it, and remove the 2 targets. Lots of interesting things like that, but most of the time you're probably just gonna, like, late game be getting back Athenia, things like that. Or if you really need, you can get Layla if you're just having trouble with ramping. So you're gonna do, this is what I found. The guy who played the Brunhild list did this with his stones. He played 9 and 4, and it does mathematically make sense, and in testing it does work. You can get those games where you just get your off color a bunch, but that's kind of the risk you take when you play this deck. But it's worth the risk for the consistency and power combined that is the main engine of the deck. So let's get into a little bit about how the deck actually works. And I am playing 41 cards. I just want to point that out because the deck is so toolboxy, and because I feel like the matchup is going to be so grindy, because most of the time you're going to be playing somewhat of a mirror match. So I feel like 41 is actually right in this case. I could be wrong. I'm not a pro, but I feel like having extra access to cards and with all the card drawing, it might be right. So basically, I feel like with this deck, you're going to play a little more reactive, but in the beginning, yes, you do hard mulligan for Sacrificial Altar and Layla, and you're going to be trying to get to a point where, by turn 3, you're having 4 or more stones in play. You need to get to 5, 6, 7 stones into that range, early. Then, beyond that, I like playing out a mana transmitter or an Astema and just sit there. I mean, there's no reason to proactively sack, and then go get Athena. There's really no reason to do that in most matchups. Now, there will be some that you do need to be proactive, like against Gil, for instance. You need to keep their stones low. But for most of the mirror matches and stuff, and when you want your Sacrificial Altar to blank their removal. So it's better to just sit there and swing at them with an Astema and drain their life and all that good stuff and draw extra cards, and then when they go to remove it, then you sack it. And if they're playing white, they have Dispel. So they go to Dispel your Sacrificial Altar, you sack it. You make them use their resources and cards to do nothing. Yes, they'll be forcing you into doing something before you want to, but then they're not doing the things they want to do because they're having to deal with your stuff. So that's that idea. And I've always liked playing that way. I mean, when I would play Blazer Knights back in the day, I would sit there with Guinevere open, and I wouldn't just sack the thing just because I wanted to draw cards. I would wait until they try to, thunder my guy or something, and then sack it in response, and then draw the cards. So that's just kind of how I'm seeing this, and that's the way I played the deck, and I didn't lose any games, and it made it very frustrating for my opponents, and I just feel like that's how the deck should be played. Now, some of the streams I watched, I think they were playing mono black, so they had to be a little more proactive with trying to blow stones up, but we're not on that plan. I'm not even playing this spell that destroys stones. The only thing that does that is Athenia. So, and you definitely can do that. Now, one thing you could add to this deck I wanted to mention is the Village Koga, and you could be blinking Athenias, which seems really good. You could be blinking Astemas. You could be blinking Lorite. You could be blinking Viola, worst case scenario. And you could be blinking Belial's. The reason I'm not going to put it in here now is because the format is so heavy on this card that I feel like there's going to be a ton of addition removal. And also, I'm not sure how the interaction works if we're trying to have all our resonators available for the altar. Will we have enough left for the Koga, or will it just feel clunky? So that's something that you all can test and let me know. Like, maybe just play it as a one of, and or put it in the sideboard. And if you find that, like, early game your altars are just fine and you're sacking everything and you're getting crazy, and then once you get to the mid and late game, then you're getting your Stemas to stick and your Athenas to stick, and then now all of a sudden you drop a Koga and they've already used the removal on 2 of your altars. They dropped 2 of their messengers already. Now you're looking at playing a Koga and having it stick around. That could be really, really good and just win you the game. And I think that might be a great metagame call. So that's just something to think about. I don't have it in the list now just because I haven't tested it, and I don't really want to throw it in here for I just wanted to build the deck kind of as like a template and see how it goes from there. So Viola, you're going to want to use this if they power of immortality and they're trying to ramp. It's not a terrible idea to do it. The reason I'd rather do that than, like, say, Lorite is because you want to save Lorite for their altars. You want to wait till they get to 5 and they go and they sacked 5 creatures, and then they sack this thing, and then you pay 1 green and they get nothing. And it's an excellent feeling. Let me tell you. Loriting a 5 or 6 counter altar, it's a great feeling, and it really can help out because they will get low on cards, and they will need to get that Athenia into play, and you'll stop it. So, yeah, I think that most of this speaks for itself here. The sideboard, I didn't think a whole lot on it, but just extra Belial, Evil Elemental Uprising, just because so many decks are using graveyards right now. Destruction of the Portal, I just for more removal of the altar. Because, like, if someone plays correctly, this deck isn't going to be just aggressively attacking you. So I feel like you don't need the removal. They're going to be sacking their own things. And when you remove their altar, now they're not getting to do what they want to do. So they're not going to be cheating as many guys into play. They can't, get that extra advantage. So Scarlett's Agony, this card will be for if there's still any Keurig players left in the format, and also IU. Let them ditch all their cards, and then because they're going to be fighting over your fair spells and your Lorites, and then and that's another reason I really like this deck is you get literally the best cards in the format to fight IU. So one of the guys that was playing Mono Black Lucifer at the Grand Prix said he lost to IU because he wasn't expecting to see it. And he's like, yeah, I wish I had some sideboard tech for it and whatnot. So that's what that's there for. Let them say, no blockers, or you try to block, they remove your Viola, and you fight over their God's Art and say they get it to resolve, and then they drop all their spirits and they get it up to 20 and they attack and they've got the resuscitating will, and then you just Scarlett's Agony and now they can't kill you, and they used everything they had. So great card. Black Tears, it's kind of a catch-all. I'm not sure how great it is anymore. If people are still playing Jizo statues and things like that, it can catch it. This, you might end up swapping this out for Koga, for like the mirror matches and stuff like that. Borizuki, great card if there's a J ruler that you're worried about. The fourth fair spell, and Jupiter, another great 5-drop to sneak into play, and has a lot of great effects. So, yeah, like I said, I didn't put too much thought into this, but I feel like there is some, a nice starting point. So, anyway, comment below and let me know what you guys think. And I'm definitely interested to see if you guys play this deck. If you play Koga, the one thing I'd want to know is, like, is it just you play it, it gets destroyed, you never get to use it, or you play it, you never get to use it because everything's going towards your altar and, like, is just clunky, or you play it late game and it's godlike because now all of a sudden they can't kill your Athena and you're getting to play it every turn, and now they have no stones and you just lock them out and you win the game. So anyway, let me know, and thanks for tuning in.